2019, 31 years after the nuke destroyed Tokyo, sending the world into World War III. Now, in Neo-Tokyo, metallic skyscrapers set the backdrop for motorcycle gangs roaming the highways with little to no purpose other than beating each other up in cool, light, bleeding motorcycle fights. Government experimentation is capable of unlocking your full potential, developing your recently discovered power so aggressively, so fast, and without concern for consequences that you too may soon form the celestial dust for your own budding universe. Welcome to Yesterday's Tomorrow Today and the past future world of Katsuhiro Otomo's Akira.
Welcome to Yesterday's Tomorrow Today.
Yes.
I am one of your hosts, Joey Reinish.
I'm Kyle McVeigh.
And on this show, we are going to talk about movies whose futures have passed. So for this episode, we are going to talk about Akira, which is a movie that I had not seen in probably 15, 20 years.
Okay.
And I signed up for this movie based on our list and forgot how much nonsense is in this movie.
Do you want to know something? When I was watching it yesterday, I feel like this is a movie that I watch every 4 years.
Really?
Yeah, it's not like, it's not like a comfort watch or anything, but like, I don't know how
Just
it
a
could
chill
be.
body
I
horror.
would hate to meet someone that's like, Akira, my comfort watch.
It's
It lulls me to sleep
It's
at
what
night.
I fall asleep to.
When people's guts are falling out.
I just want to know what it would feel like to lay in a pile of skin.
Yeah, I just want to be crushed inside a giant fetus. That's
Yeah.
all I want. But when I was watching it yesterday, I was like, oh, you know what? Makes more sense than I remembered.
Akira was that one. There was for a while there, like before anime, when you had to buy anime at Suncoast.
Yes, only at Suncoast.
There-
Or rent it, maybe if
Maybe.
you had a good Blockbuster.
And it would be right next to the swinging doors that went to the porno aisle.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where
Yeah.
your anime was.
Yeah.
There was this mail service for buying anime VHS tapes,
Like a Columbia House
but
for anime.
just for anime.
Okay.
And they used Akira almost exclusively in their ad campaigns.
Okay.
So that's like those moments
Yeah.
are like what I remember most about this movie. I didn't remember any of the stuff about the government like coups and meetings and all that. It was
Yeah.
like the dude's arms swelling,
Yeah.
a giant skin ball, and like the Neo-Tokyo explosion
Yes.
stuff.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like all I remembered about
Yeah.
Akira.
Yeah.
So this show, we're not really gonna go by the beat by beat the plot
Yeah.
of this. I have
That's not the point of the show.
That's not the point. The point is like looking at Akira's future, and we're going to
Yes.
talk about certain aspects of it because this movie takes place in 2019, which
The future.
the future,
2019.
which is was released in 1988, I believe.
That's insane, though.
That's a while.
When I was watching it, I'm like, oh, yep, crazy. This is all hand drawn.
Some of that
It's really stressing me out, actually.
I know.
that it's
Some
all
of that
hand-drawn.
stuff looks incredible
Yes.
still.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
31 years, we're set 31 years after some sort of explosion, they say it was a nuke, went off in Tokyo, leveling it, pushing the world into World War III,
Sure.
which very close.
Yeah. Could happen.
Almost.
Why not?
Well, I mean, timeline-wise,
Yeah.
they're like only a couple years late on the World War III
I just
front.
think it's rude that Japan didn't issue a statement to the world. They were like, actually, it was a psychic boy explosion. Just your run-of-the-mill super soldier explosion.
I don't know if they knew I think it happened.
Someone
and then
knew.
Somebody did.
Yeah.
I assume the
the
people
army knew.
that put Akira in capsules in a
Slice 'em
ball
up, put 'em in
underneath the
yeah.
stadium.
Yeah.
So the biker gang, which is called the Capsules, which I didn't know
that.
I didn't either.
Okay.
Featuring Kaneda. I'm gonna say all the words in as white as possible because that's what I remember.
Yeah, it's
hearing.
actually worse if you're
If you
going
try.
because like it sound like if I'm like Kaneda,
Yeah.
you can't help but kind of do an accent, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it's well. Anyway, it's fine. Just say it the whitey way.
Yeah, I'll say it the white way, which is Kaneda, Tetsuo, and others.
Yes.
The rest of this gang. They
Others.
and the others.
Yes. Yeah.
They
There's a
are in a gang, which I learned is a subculture still
Yes.
called, I wrote it, Bosozuko.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. Just gangs in general,
No,
or like
motorcycle
biker gangs?
Yeah, biker gangs for
Okay.
kids.
That's pretty sweet.
Which is weird because here biker gangs are like
old man things.
vets
Yes.
and dads who are realizing they are going to die someday.
Yes. And then some of them actual gangs.
And some of them criminals.
Yes.
So it's weird that biker subculture. I was like, oh, that's an interesting feature take, and then realized that's just a Japanese thing.
Sure.
Of course, I've never been there, and I am very
For
uncultured.
how small
so-
of an island it is, I feel like there's a lot of weird, like, subcultures
Yeah.
within it.
Yeah. So we got the capsules having cool motorcycle fights with their rival gang, the Clowns.
Yes.
Something. And all they do is like beat each other up, like to no
Road
end.
rash style.
Yeah, very
I mean,
road
I think
rash.
there's turf wars and stuff like that. I mean, I've read
But
the
they're
manga.
all in high school.
You've read the manga, right?
No,
Well,
it's
you
all
own
right
it.
here in this giant
Oh, okay.
box.
Well, anyway, we'll save that for the bonus discussion about
Yes.
what's different between the manga and the thing. But
Yeah.
like, yeah, I mean, in theory, there's like turf wars and stuff like that. So like, I guess they're not beating. I mean, for as much as you, I guess to no end is as much as you mean like, who cares about your turf?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah,
They
but it's
just-
dumb kid stuff. They're bored.
Dumb kid
so they're
stuff
gonna beat
where
up on each other.
they're hitting people off of speeding bikes.
Yes, with
on a
pipes.
freeway with
Yes.
pipes.
Yeah,
It's fucking raw.
yeah.
So in one of these fights, Tetsuo gets in an accident trying to avoid an old tiny kid,
Old child,
who's
an elderly child,
an elderly psychic boy.
Yes.
Then I had to actually look up
Yeah.
the wiki for this because
Yes.
I assume it's
I did too.
the symptom of the manga.
Yeah.
The extreme abridgment.
Yes.
He basically gets powers because he had some latent ability, but then the government psychically enhances them,
Yes.
and he becomes a super powerful arch nemesis within the span of like hours. It feels like Tetsuo does.
Yeah, he gets super powerful very quickly. I believe it's the encounter with the elderly child, or Esper as they call them.
Just being next to him.
I think it's like it activates it. I think that's what it is in the manga as well. But it's like, I was gonna say, I'm pretty impressed by how abridged this movie. I mean, even though at the end you're kind of like, what does this any of this mean?
Yeah.
But like, pretty impressed by how they abridge it.
Okay.
Like it's
Interesting.
pretty, because really technically it only covers about the first 2 books
Oh wow.
of the manga, and then there's a lot of post that second explosion. And Akira is like a person
yeah.
and a character.
You see
in
him
the
for
back
like
half.
30 seconds. In
Yeah.
the movie,
He's more of like an actual person
okay. Interesting.
in the manga. But
I got this really nice set, and I started reading the first one.
Yeah.
And then I like misplaced the book
oh sure.
somehow.
Yeah.
And then now I need to start over, and I was like halfway through that first one. So I have it here all
Yes.
together. I'm gonna read it. I'm still interested in what's happened, like what this world is. The art is
Yeah.
cool. And then at the end of the movie, Tetsuo's like, I'm gonna go find Akira, and then there's
Yeah.
he turns into a big blob skin,
Yes.
and then there's this trippy psychedelic end sequence that
Yes.
apparently is them going to another dimension to start a different galaxy. I have no idea.
yes. Sure.
Would not have been able to tell you that's what that was.
Yeah, basically it's I would say if you're rooting this plot in anything, it's cool friend and like wimpy friend gets really powerful and has like an underdog complex,
Yeah.
and then it's them kind of going at each other
And then one of them melting.
until one of them melts. And
That animation in the body, like the body melt stuff, though, is
Yeah, it's
like
wild shit.
top notch.
is the best.
I also want that dun. Just like I want that.
We should just like get some of the like I just forget how intense the entire score is.
It makes you
for
feel
it.
so uncomfortable.
Yeah, it feels like they're playing a brown note throughout most of it, where you're like, oh,
I feel dirtier.
yeah.
So that's what we have for synopsis. Now I have a handful of things I want to go through that they don't really dig into the world very much. And I'm sure
No.
that's because it's focusing on this tiny event.
There's a lot of touching on it. I did a little bit of research today because I was trying to remember what the deal is.
with the manga.
Even in the manga. I think they go into it more in the manga, but it's
Yeah.
like not even, I don't even think they really get super detailed.
Okay.
But yeah, the world is basically just like post World War III, post the explosion, during the rebuilding, things just get a little bit more fascisty, and like the
As they
police
are wont
become
to do.
militarized. And
Well, let's skip then
Yeah.
to that section
yeah.
of my notes here, which
Yes.
what was correct.
what,
so-
what do we think
In
they got right in
2019,
2019?
Streets are on
Off
fire.
by a year.
Off by a
Off
year.
by a year.
Streets on fire with protests.
Yes.
The comically violent cops who there's this-
Everyone, they go to that scene where it's just interrogation rooms, and you can see in every single one of them a cop is beating the shit out of another kid.
well, and I don't remember what even was happening, but it's this like off-angle shot higher up of like
Yeah.
a dude down on a street, and then these cops swarm the dude and they're just beating him
Yeah.
on the ground. Like
Yeah.
it was like a comedy bit,
Yeah.
but I'm sure it was a serious moment, but I like for whatever reason didn't know why they were even swarming
I
him.
mean, was it a serious moment? Because I feel like this does the normal anime thing where like they'll be like, this is very serious. And then all of a sudden it'll have like a Looney Tunes moment, like at
Yeah.
the end when like Kaneda's fighting Tetsuo, and then he like falls down, and then all these rocks are falling down, and all of a sudden it becomes Kaneda being like whoop, whoop, whoop,
Whoop,
dodging
whoop.
Looney Tunes style like debris as it comes out.
Maybe they don't know how to make that like a dramatic thing. They just know like they have a certain.
I think they were just thought it was funny. I
I-
think there's like literally sometimes I don't know. I can't speak to it. I don't know anime super well, but I
Yeah.
feel like they're just kind of like, I don't know, it's funny. Yeah. Fuck it.
we just saw a guy melt.
Who gives
Let me
a
be
shit?
funny. For
Yeah,
a
let me
second.
be fucking funny for 2 seconds.
So yeah, the cops shoot before they know what is happening.
Yes.
Like a lot in this movie.
Yes. Yeah.
I have about the police rushing onto the scene to punch a dude.
Yeah.
They mentioned that it's 143 days to the Tokyo Olympics. Are the Olympics set that far in advance? Because that's not far off.
I think well, no, they can't be.
I
Can they?
read online it was like 4 to 6 years. They'll
Yeah.
well, no, I guess it's maybe like 2 games in advance.
Do you think they did it there because of this movie?
I don't know.
Do you
The
think
Tokyo
someone...
Summer Games
Yeah,
were 2020.
that's wild.
And in 2019, when this movie takes place, for whatever reason, there was a thing that said 143 days till the Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah. I don't know. This is what I'm thinking. Is it a chicken before the egg thing? I feel like
We really
did
like
they make,
Akira,
did
guys.
Akira make this happen?
It could have.
It might have. I don't know. Someone must have.
I-
Maybe.
It's like an impossible thing to find. Like, hey,
Yeah.
did they? When would they have known they were doing
I
the
know.
Tokyo
Yeah.
2020? I
I
can't
don't
find
know.
it.
Who the fuck knows?
There's insurrection style betrayals in the
Yes.
upper bureaucratic levels of the government.
Here's the thing. This is how you know the world is fucked. Or like like Tokyo, Japan is fucked so hard because you just never want a coup to happen quickly. Like the fact that he's like at the end of this movie,
No.
he's like, kill the council. We're doing a coup.
Yeah.
We're queuing it up. And
We're
everyone just,
doing it.
and they just do it. And it's like, damn, that happened fast.
Real fast.
He literally just decided
Yeah.
in the moment
in the moment.
to be like, we're cooing. Everybody.
Well, I mean, I guess that makes their future, they're a little more efficient at it,
Yes.
considering ours failed.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
so-
Well, our coup wasn't a military coup.
Right.
I
It was
guess,
an idiot coup.
Yeah. It was more of a dumb coup. But yeah, you really, I mean, that's how you know that it's a fucked up future. Like certainly they got right the leanings towards fascism, and those sort of tendencies, and like, yeah, I mean, like the corruption at like all political levels, and just like the militarization of the police, and like they really got. It's really a bummer to be like 29. Ooh.
It's pretty
Yeah,
good.
they kind of nailed a lot of this stuff.
I mean, I don't know how Japan is, but it doesn't feel super far off from a lot of the stuff over
The problem is that it didn't. It I don't know what Japan was like in 2020,
Yeah.
but it felt like America's 2020 in a
Yeah.
lot of distressing ways.
For
I
a
feel
movie
like-
about psychic old children and giant melty guys,
Yes.
like this is way closer than I was expecting.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
no. I mean, like, there's cool skyscraper, like more skyscrapers than there
Yeah.
should be. You know, that type of futuristic stuff. Everything's kind of dirty. Everything looks mechanical.
Yeah.
But they don't really go outside of that council chamber and talk too much about the rest of the world. You get that tiny bit where it's like old Tokyo is destroyed,
Yeah.
became Neo Tokyo,
Yeah.
and that original explosion, who you eventually find out was
Yeah.
caused by one of the old children,
Yeah.
Akira,
Akira.
started World War III, and now we're kind of in this future.
I assume the rest of the world is pretty fucked up from
I
World
assume.
War III.
That would be
They
interesting.
really don't address it at all. It is
Yeah.
very, I guess it's also, I mean, to the movie's strengths is like, we can't bring in the
We're
rest
already
of the world. This is
condensing.
already too much.
Yeah.
Like, we can't bring in the rest of the world.
It feels like a universe, though, that, like, with how much content there is in this box
yeah.
and the setting, like, it could
Yeah.
be a show.
Oh, it would be, I'm telling you, like, they only do like the first two books.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
crazy.
maybe the first three. They
There's
steal,
6.
but they do a good job of like stealing. Like the satellite stuff is from the later
Oh,
book.
fuck.
and,
That's
like,
it.
stuff-
That's in our future
and, like,
tech
stuff
spotlight.
like, yeah. But it's like they did. I'm almost impressed with how they condensed it,
Yeah.
even though it doesn't. It still doesn't really make sense near the end.
No.
it kind
But
of
it's
devolves.
at least it's cool looking.
Yeah.
I will give it that. So let's jump over to our future tech spotlight, which is the title that you had in your notes and I stole.
Yeah.
What maybe we'll have like a jazzier name for that at some point.
Future
But
tech spotlight.
perfect.
Bring.
I was quiet on purpose. So as we just mentioned, these sniping space lasers are pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Those are awesome.
It feels like something that could actually exist that we just don't know about.
It's pretty upsetting, and it's pretty funny that for our first couple episodes we picked two movies that both involve
Satellites,
giant
kind of.
murder satellites.
Must have been an anxiety of the time of like there's stuff in space and we don't know.
Now
what
we
it
know
does.
too much about space, where it's like it's cluttered up there.
Yeah, it's like
I don't
garbage
know
all
if anyone
over.
could secretly launch anything anymore.
That's true. You need to adjust something.
No. I'm looking for my notes. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, you dropped your notes. Got it. Now I know cryo is a thing for like tiny specimens and seeds and samples and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like the cryo in this is a little more advanced, though not much. They have all of Akira's bits in various containers and storage.
What? Yeah. I guess it's what's the goal of the cryo? If we're talking just to keep bits cool, then yeah, this cryo's super advanced. If we're talking Futurama freeze you
That's not what this
and
is.
bring you back,
They're not
then
saying
it's
that yet.
very bad.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we're gonna put this stuff on ice so that maybe a smarter future can figure this out
Yeah.
instead of us. So kind of grasping at the future tech here because we got a laser weapon.
They do it. Yeah. Kaneda gets a battery powered laser,
Which super
cannon.
cool.
I love that. I also love anything that can run out of
Battery.
because that scene where
gotta charge it.
he gets a good gut shot on him and it's not charged enough to do anything.
Yeah.
Great problem. Love
Yeah.
that. Very cool.
I'm surprised. Lasers, especially because it's a military invention,
Yes,
laser weapons feels like something that should have happened by now.
it does. And I think it's one of those things where I don't think. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna say that I don't. It does feel like a thing where it's like I don't know if it can be weaponized. Obviously, we use it LASIK and things like that, but I don't know if you can like.
I mean, that cuts skin
yeah,
to a degree.
but it's like you're not even like when you have like future medical stuff in movies and it's like in a tube and they're like cutting you with lasers and like
Yeah.
shit like that. Like we're not even there yet. So it's like I don't know when we get to I don't know
Shooting a
laser
gun of
guns.
lasers?
I don't know if you can. We may just always be stuck with projectiles.
Well, maybe they're then I'm talking about lightsabers. I was like, maybe they just only work up to like a range.
I don't know.
And then like past that, you could still see the laser light, but it doesn't actively hurt you or something.
I'm not up to date on laser technology
Me neither.
or
Stop
being
talking on my
weaponized. I
ass.
feel like we kind of stopped. I do feel like they've stopped making that a focus, and we're way more focused on murder robots and AI now.
Yeah.
Which
Well, they'll figure
why?
it out.
Yeah.
The murder robots will figure out the
Oh,
lasers.
I'm much more confident we'll figure out murder robots and AI, and then yes, they will combine to make the lasers for
Yeah,
sure.
They'll speed it up for us.
Yeah, they'll nail it.
Yeah.
Good.
And speaking of the hospital stuff too, that sequence of that weird MRI
Yeah,
examining
Yes.
chamber he's in,
it's cool.
it's super cool.
Seems unnecessary.
Yeah,
It's
but
a lot of moving parts for just an MRI, basically.
I do believe that it is better at whatever it's doing because it's moving so much. I don't know what information he's getting from it, but because there are so many moving bits,
Seems complicated. Gotta work better.
there's got to be because
It's
like
the future. It's gotta be better. Look how many parts it's got.
look how many things move independently of each other. That's complicated.
That is complicated.
I've had an MRI like somewhat recently.
You're just
and
in a
it's
tube.
Still just a giant tube.
Yeah.
With a
well, that's
robot
we
voice.
nailed it in one. We were like, yeah, magnets.
Imagine how
We
much
did
more
it.
they would know if
If it moved more.
I rotated and it rotated somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it would be more. Maybe it would be more efficient.
They would be able to read my, what do they call those things? Your pattern. Or
Your brain pattern.
is that thing where he's staring in the dish?
Oh yeah.
and it's
They
looks
never
like,
really explain what that is.
it's your pattern.
It's your power pattern, I guess.
And it just is like a little MP3 of your brain. that
Yeah, it's
plays
just like
on
an
the di-
MP3 music wave, like sound wave of your brain power.
That would just be like another thing to be self-conscious about.
Yeah.
Like,
oh
oh,
no, my weird pattern.
My brain pattern sounds stupid. It's like gloop, gloop, gloop,
Also,
gloop,
it'd feel even worse because that scientist is so horny for it.
gloop. He
The
really
whole
is.
time he's just like,
Oh, look at him combine.
oh.
He to his own detriment, he eventually dies for the pattern. But they
Yeah.
sync him up together with like Akira's pattern or something, and it makes a crazier pattern.
It's like the one thing that they really lean into near the end, and it's like one of the 5 things that you're like, I don't think this ever made sense, and now it's really not making sense, except that we just kind of visually get it's bad.
we visually
We
get
just know it's bad. We don't know what it is, but it's bad.
we visually get that if your brain pattern
Yes.
starts to dance more and sound cooler,
Yes. Bad.
you are getting stronger.
Yeah, you're getting stronger, but in a way that you can't control.
yeah,
That's the problem.
right. I mean, you will melt.
Yeah, you will melt.
You will melt into more skin than you have currently somehow.
Which is the most distressing thing about it.
like
It's
by
like,
a lot.
How did he make all? What's he making all the skin out of?
I
And it
don't know.
Doesn't matter because it's horrifying.
Yeah, it's good. And then the last thing I want to talk in the future tech spotlight
Yes.
is the vehicles. Now, one of these things is near and dear to my heart, and I'll save it for last.
Oh, okay.
The motorcycles in this are real cool looking.
Yes.
And I know it's a stylistic choice, but
Yes.
I'm going to think against it that all those motorcycles like somehow trail light.
Yes, of course.
I know they're doing it because it looks neat,
Yeah.
but that's a future
They're
thing.
tronning.
They're tronning.
They're tronning.
Exactly.
They're tronning. I do love, like, the thing is, like, the motorcycles all vary. Where, like, in the Capsule Gang, most of the guys are riding, I mean, like, they're a little more futury than your average motorcycle, but they look like motorcycle.
Yeah.
And then you have Kaneda's motorcycle, which looks unrideable,
It does.
but is like maybe the most iconic vehicle design in cinema history.
You see
like-
that, you know it's from this movie.
Yes. I mean, like, literally that, like, the slide that he does
Yeah.
has been homaged
That's
in like
Anime.
a billion movies.
Yeah.
Like, but it's like because that motorcycle looks so cool.
it does.
And so futuristic, it just pulls off that shot. It's so cool. My favorite thing about that bike is early on when you first see it, it's like Tetsuo when he's not a blob. It's pre-powered Tetsuo, and he's
Yeah.
like
when
sitting
he
in
just gets
it.
spiky hair.
Yeah, and he's sitting in it, and he's like listing off all the cool things about it.
Yeah.
And one of the things is computer controlled anti-lock brakes. And I was like, yeah, man, that's just like cars now. It's like one of those things now where you're like 2019. Yeah, we nailed it. We got anti-lock brakes. We did it. They're all run by a computer now.
That, I mean, you know, that's
so they nailed it.
They nailed that, yeah.
But it's just very funny that in the future, 2019, they're like, wow, anti-lock brakes.
Yeah.
Controlled by a computer chip. Amazing.
I don't really know what current motorcycle design is. All I know is people still drive motorcycles where their hands are up like this.
Yes.
And that just proves we are
Choppers.
nowhere near.
Yeah.
We are nowhere near Akira bikes because this is stupid.
Yeah.
Do they know that? Has anybody told them
No, they
that?
definitely think it's dope.
Why?
I don't understand chopper culture. Like, I understand it to the degree that sometimes they look really fucking cool. But there are things like, yes, the really high
when you're driving down the road
and stuff where you're just like, you're getting into clown car territory. Well, the opposite of clown car, where it's like, haha, clown car very small, has many people.
Yeah.
Bike too big.
This looks like I'm wearing daddy's bike.
It's like, it's like, why are you trying to, it's like how you always, for a long time, you would see like really tough people on your street, or like even in LA, depending on the neighborhood, you'll see like people you're like, damn, that looks like a gang member or something. This guy's got face tattoos. And also he's riding the smallest bike I've ever seen in my life. Like just obviously a 13-year-old's bike with like pegs and shit. And you're like, that guy would be really terrifying and intimidating
on a creepier bike.
On a 10-speed. If I felt like he could catch me on foot
maybe
on the bike, I think that it would be scary.
That's his trick bike. It's his bike for tricks.
I mean, it's just to bring his friends around, right? You got to have the pegs so you can bring your friends to Wenchels with you.
I feel like I've seen people riding choppers like that, and they like have to put their hands down because they're like.
Some of the regular things are I don't understand the trends. Like the really high things, even like the sissy bars on the back, which are practical at least in terms of like they're supposed to have your passenger not fall off.
Right.
But some of those look fucking stupid.
I'll just let my passenger fall off.
Yeah, I just let him go.
I feel like his bike with like the cool like it's basically an electric powered bike, it looks like.
Yeah.
That I feel like is something that should be possible now. There's probably just not like a market for it because people still, when they get a motorcycle, if you're into motorcycles, you want that classic, gas guzzly.
I think you want the sound.
Yeah.
Like, what you want is the noise. And that's like, I think we're slowly getting away from that, where like, I think like now they're starting to make EV trucks, which I think will be a really big deal for like changing, especially like the Midwest and stuff, idea of what that, because like as soon as you could be like, it makes the noise, or at the very least, it just looks like a truck, and you can just do truck things in it.
But you don't have to pay for the gas of it.
Yes, I think that'll start. I think that's the stuff that'll like change a lot of people's minds. I have seen there are companies that sell e-bikes, but they're basically wiener kid mopeds.
Okay, yeah,
but electric.
Yeah,
and it's like, if you're just like if you were,
could you do a Canada slide in them?
No.
Okay.
Fuck no. No, of course not. But that's the version you're getting right now. Like, I'm sure someone makes an electric motorcycle right now, but like,
well, I feel like across everything that we're ever going to talk about, surely there is one nerdlinger who's tried to make a version of the thing like that works.
Yeah.
So I think that outlier aside, we'll just have to be like, we are not as a society up to cool motorcycle with electric wheels and light bleed.
No computer anti-lock brakes.
No computer anti-lock motorcycle. I feel like that would just like shoot you over the handlebars. Like in a car, you're in a seatbelt, but like if your motorcycle's like stop, you just like grind your face on the
yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, there is Joker, the main guy, Joker, the leader of the clowns. His bike that just is like basically a throne with like 50 exhaust things that are like cool. Making like he's not even steering. He's just like, when you see him, he's just like sitting on it, cross-armed, and you're like, damn.
Maybe it's a mind bike.
It might be a mind bike. I don't know.
I guess we'll have to read the manga.
This is definitely a world where people just have mind powers.
That's true.
Randomly.
Maybe he's an Esper.
He might be an Esper. an
That could
elderly
be
child.
an elderly, not so. We'll save that.
Yeah.
I had a question, but we'll save it.
Yes.
And my last favorite thing, and this is kind of a futuristic or sci-fi trope,
Yeah.
is the hyper-specific personalized conveyance,
Yes.
which is like
where only one character has it. It's like a Professor X
exactly Professor
hover
X's
wheelchair.
things
or
that
like
things that would smell. Personal
yes.
conveyance that would
yeah,
smell.
yeah.
One of the Esper kids has his little floating bubble car,
Yes.
and
The little Jack Black.
yes,
He looks like tiny elderly. No, he looks like tiny elderly Louis Anderson.
yes,
Is exactly what he
Yes,
looks like.
very much.
Yes.
If you watch Life with Louis,
Yeah. Yes.
where he
yes.
is that,
Yes.
but there's something about that idea to me that I think is hilarious and awesome.
Yeah.
Because I also wonder, like,
Yeah.
how do you get to the point where someone makes you a vehicle that suits your exact specific need?
Well, it's the other thing is like I think that kid even walks. It's not like
He
he's
does.
having an issue. I mean, maybe he has. Maybe he has an unseen disease, a hidden disability that we
Yeah,
don't know about. But
It's called flat feet. He has
he's
trouble
just
walking.
like he's like this tough elderly man child until he's like my feet hurt.
Stairs.
Tootsie's hurt.
Yeah. Let me get my
Build
bubble
me
car.
hover. Give me bubble car chair. Bubble car.
Also, like almost always I'm gonna call him the tiny personal conveyance.
Yeah.
Almost always doesn't have any visible controls. They just work.
He's got mind controls. That one's mind
and I guess
controls.
so does Professor X.
Yeah.
So there's that too.
See, I always thought Professor X's actually had.
Like steering
Why would I think that though?
pedals
Yeah. Well, that
for
would
his
work.
legs
That
that
would,
don't
that would-
work.
that would work.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
Hey, we put pedals in it, Professor X, and he's like, "You
What?
fucking assholes! Why would you do that?
I'm moving you to the Wyman. You are not good enough.
You're going to Alpha Flight. Go to Canada, asshole."
Like Bowser's floating clown thing. I'm trying to think of other like real movie ones that have these things.
Mario Stompers from the live action Mario movie.
Yes.
That's
but
a personal conveyance. No, but I know what you mean. You want like Bubble Boy sort of thing.
have it's your own
Personal-
iconic personal conveyance that
Yes.
only tiny old boy has this.
Yes. No one else in the world has that.
No.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of it. It feels like I should have a billion examples.
I know.
right now
I
can't
had
think
more.
of any. It's like Nausicaa. The main girl in that has like a cool like hang glider,
Mhm.
like jet engine hang glider thing. That's like a personal conveyance, but that's actually too cool to be what you're talking about.
Yeah.
What you're talking about needs to be
It's like a
mildly
necessity.
lame.
Yeah.
Yeah. It needs to be necessary and like just like not cool.
Yeah.
Bubble car not cool. Beyond the fact that he's the only one that has it.
Bubble car cool to me. Bubble car not cool
okay,
to
Bubble car if
If I had bubble car, I'd be happy.
objectively bubble car not cool.
Right.
In a movie full of cool motorcycles, bubble car not cool.
Right.
But if you have bubble car,
Bubble car cool.
coolest thing you've ever had. Best thing you've ever owned.
I mean, like we have hoverboards.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like getting there, but
yeah.
they kind of suck, and everyone can have them, and they randomly catch on fire.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like that, I feel like is something I'm going to be keeping.
You
an
would
eye
feel
out for.
safe in bubble car.
You would, because that's like the
well,
point.
bubble
of it.
car is the next evolution of hover round.
What's
right?
hover round?
Oh, that's the name brand electric scooter for elderly peoples or
Oh,
people that
okay.
have
Yeah.
issues walking.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the thing from Wall-E. Those
Yes.
those
Yeah,
mobile
yeah.
couches. But
well, that's the
everybody
other
has
thing, but
those.
that's basically what bubble car is.
yeah, I know.
Bubble
but
car is the Wall-E thing.
I know, but
But
they
everyone has a thing in the Wall-E thing. So
Yeah,
it's
'cause
not quite as cool.
yeah, it's not special.
Yeah.
So it's the same idea, but a small, tiny personal conveyance that is very impractical, but like practical for this person.
Do you think they saw Louis Anderson and they intentionally designed that child to look like him? Because now that we said it, it really
It
looks
really
like Louis
looks like
Anderson.
him. Maybe just all fat little boys look like Louis Anderson.
They just all. I listened to a podcast recently. That was pretty good. I listened to a podcast recently where they were saying that basically over time, all animals would have, I don't remember.
Evolved to crabs?
Would evolve to crab
Yeah.
because it's the most efficient form,
Yeah.
a body form
Yeah.
for at least living under the sea.
It was probably
so it's like
our podcast.
we're all evolving toward little Louis Andersons.
It's energy
It's
efficient.
inevitable. The peak evolutionary form is tiny Louis Anderson with hover car,
with bubble car.
and that's how you know it's the future.
Yeah, that's right. When every little boy looks like a tiny Louis
An
Anderson.
old Louis Anderson.
My next section is kind of my biggest thing in here, and it's honestly the thing that's the hardest to talk about because it makes so little sense.
Yes.
Is that in this future there is a telekinetic ability that is latent
in some people.
Yes. But that the government,
yes,
and this part is very possible.
Yeah.
The government has an ability to tease that out and use it for their own gain.
Yes.
And that is kind of, and this is the question I wanted to ask earlier, is they have these 3 kids, they all call them espers, that are kind of under government supervision with experiments and the doctor who likes to read the brain patterns and all this stuff.
Yeah.
They make them take a medication to keep them at suppressed.
Bay. Yes.
Is that what makes them look old? Is it the medication that keeps
Boy, they don't explain that. I assumed it was the drugs that were keeping them as elderly children.
Yeah.
But it also may just be the psychic powers.
I
don't know. Maybe it
because Akira didn't look old.
That's because he died as a child.
Well, I suppose, yeah.
He died as a child.
Well, he died as a child and nothing made sense at that point.
Yeah,
so I guess
yeah.
it doesn't matter.
But I think I think it's worth noting that Joey and I are obsessed with future drugs. It's one of our favorite things in the world. If you give us a movie that has a fake drug in it, we are obsessed with it.
We're going to keep a database. So in this movie, the only future drug that they mention is capsules.
Yes. Which is confusing in this movie because the bartender at their local hangout is illegally selling capsules.
Mm-hmm.
So capsules are literally just drugs, like drugs.
A pill.
On the street. But then also the government is using them to both enhance the psychic abilities and then also suppress them at like a certain level.
It almost feels like they didn't want to. We're not going to make up too many future drugs, so we'll make.
And I feel like they should have leaned into it.
I do too.
The more, the merrier.
The more, the better. They're just like, we'll have one thing that stands for drug.
Yeah,
and we'll use that for all of it.
Yes.
So the future drug here of capsules is, I assume, like why he has the pill on his jacket. Why they're called the capsules. It's basically like, hey, our gang is called Acid. We like taking acid.
Yeah.
That's our gang.
Yeah, it's not a creative name for your gang.
No.
But it is like, and once again, there's a ton of iconic visuals in this, but I feel like that pill, that capsule is like a very iconic visual. Like if you see that version of a pill, you're like, that's from Akira. Yeah. That's like the back of Kaneda's jacket.
And I mean, maybe here's how I can say that they did find something from that. Is just having pills be your drug. Is nowadays there are a lot of like, just here's a designer pill. That does something to you.
Yeah, they got that right. I mean, I don't think we really had in the 80s. What did you? I mean, they were like lewds, and they were like certainly by, like, still like like legitimate opioids.
But they're made by like a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
Now you can just have like chemists off doing their own thing, making like Molly or ecstasy.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So I guess in that, I mean, I don't do any of those things. I don't really know much about them. I took a class in college about drugs, just like all the drugs that were available at the time.
What the fuck does that mean?
It's basically, what one do you want to do?
Fucking narc.
Yeah, which one do you want to do?
No, okay. Cool.
Like, ooh, that one sounds good. That one sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the other thing it kind of got right. I mean, if you want to talk about people being addicted to both designer drugs, but then also just your run-of-the-mill opioids and legal drugs, like, they kind of got the conveyance of, like, our epidemic in like the I don't know, 20 teens.
It's manufactured stuff because like earlier drugs were things that you could extract from plant matter or organic things that you could
just roll up and smoke.
Or prepare a certain way, and it would get
Yeah.
only like the very powerful thing out of it that does something to you.
Yeah.
But like in this future, in our present, a lot of drugs are manufactured to just be a drug.
Yeah.
And to do like fucked up shit to your brain.
Yeah.
So I even though they don't really go into what the capsules are, they do mention it is him being on some sort of capsule is like why they notice his brain power abilities in the first place.
Yeah.
His latent ability shows up because it's enhanced by this capsule in some way. And then they use their capsule, whatever it is, to enhance that part of their brain. And
it seems to enhance and limit it, because on the military side of things, they had grades of capsules because they're like, I'm going to start it off with a 7.
Right.
So I imagine that just means it's supposed to enhance it up to it. I don't know, man. This is like one of those little like throwaway things where you're like,
that's cool world stuff.
I wish they wouldn't have said anything. Because now
I want to know.
I totally had a fucking grip on all of this until you said that one line. And I'm like, wait, they're different? What are you talking about? Does it enhance or does it make it feel better? I don't know what it is.
Dehance.
Dehance.
So the psychic demon old children experiment is both the least explained and most important part of the entire thing.
Yeah.
So trying to tie that into a real world equivalent of today, I mean, we obviously don't have any sort of telekinetic abilities that I am aware of. There was that experiment.
We might have child soldiers.
Oh, I'm sure somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm sure we got those for days.
Yeah.
There was those experiments where they tried to use like LSD in the military, the Manusteric goats.
Yes.
And stuff, but
we used to do a lot of psychedelic and drug experiments.
Yeah, mushrooms.
I don't really know what they do now. I don't know what I'd be interested to know what our current era of like secret experiments are.
Yeah.
Because in the past they've ranged from giving soldiers LSD to the Manhattan Project.
You're right.
So now it's like I got a feeling that
they
it's
gotta
probably,
have more fucked up.
I gotta
stuff
feel
somewhere.
like it's more technology based, right?
Yeah, probably.
It's got to be like enhancements. Like I doubt they're trying to like make a psychic soldier or a super
Russia
soldier.
Is.
Oh, who knows what Russia?
I bet Russia's still trying.
They might be trying to do that. Yeah, that feels like such a Cold War thing. Do you know what I mean?
It does.
Like I feel like there's so many movies from the 80s where they're making psychic soldiers. It's like, yeah, well,
they're making a bunch of Banes.
Got to try something.
Yeah, we got to be able to levitate our guys.
Yeah, why not mind powers? Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested. I mean, maybe we are still trying to do that shit. I have no idea. But I feel like all our secret projects are probably just lame drones and cybernetic enhancements and all this shit.
I mean, I take a cybernetic enhancement.
What kind?
Ooh, if you're coming at me with questions like
I take
that.
an eyeball.
Yeah, like a fancy eye?
Like a cool eyeball.
Like a Google Glass?
Yeah, like a Google guy. Like a Google Glass. And maybe you could like change its color on a whim.
Look, the problem with cybernetic enhancements.
Yes. I've played Cyberpunk.
I've played it a little bit.
The problem is that you'll make a pretty not great game.
Yeah. Is that pretty much universally no company has proven to be cool.
Oh, well, we've talked about it on our other podcast, LOLJK. You can check it out. But like we've talked about the worst cybernetic enhancements. What was that guy that got just magnets in his fingertips like a fucking idiot? That's the problem, is that like these experiments, the legitimate experiments, are so secret right now that right now the niche market is taken over by fucking idiots.
I want to feel like I'm a Spider-Man, but only on my fridge.
Yeah.
I've probably made that exact joke.
I have the same amount of power as this A. The letter A. This magnet from fucking why couldn't I think of a thing? What a bad joke.
I think you're right.
My mind completely. I was like,
what are magnets?
Where do you get magnets?
A cow?
What's a place? Niagara Falls. Fuck. Shit. Could have literally named anywhere. Could have named any city. Anyway, my brain actively shut down.
The thing too with those pills.
Yeah.
And it's what we were talking about with the skin at the end.
Yeah.
is they kind of like you can merge with machinery or something. Like he gets his psychic abilities give him like a robot arm.
Yeah.
And then the robot arm
I don't know if
starts
that's a
getting skin.
capsule thing.
It's just his powers.
I think that's just his powers getting out of control, that he just like can't control his body,
So it's
but then can kind of, I don't know.
the power's main ability is to break the rules of the world. like cars drive upside down now because that like my power is that stuff doesn't make sense.
It just seems like the power is like it just gets, if you don't contain it, it just gets more and more powerful until you just make like a little black hole.
Yeah,
And then that's it.
the thing you turn into a singularity and you zoom somewhere else. I assume that's how all universes have started.
I mean, we don't know.
Don't know.
It might be. Maybe if we get a good enough telescope, we can see back to the Big Bang and we'll see
Tiny old boys.
tiny old boys floating through the void.
So, what would you live in this future? In the future that we're basically living in. The future that we're in now, aside from psychic
My
tiny
only
boys.
thing is that it does seem like a shittier future. I would like to live in a vaguely more cyberpunk future.
Yeah.
I think that the cool thing about this movie is that it has a cyberpunk-ish aesthetic, but does still feel like it
Not
does
like-
feel like we're like 5 years from this
Yeah.
kind of cyberpunk-y thing. But no, I don't think I would. It's just
Would you want to live in a future where the prospect of a psychic ability?
No.
If I could just be like,
I would never want you to be near me
hey,
with a psychic
hey,
ability.
hand me that thing.
No, that's
Yeah,
a
no,
nightmare.
it'd be horrible.
Yeah, I would hate for any of you to have psychic like anyone I know to have psychic abilities would be a nightmare.
Yeah. I
Uh,
would definitely use it for ill.
yes, of course. We all would. Everyone would be corrupted immediately. No, I don't think I'd want to live here. I don't think I want to live in a world where World War III happened.
Yeah,
Which I'm aware, whatever. If we all want to be dickheads about it, maybe we're on that course. I don't
yeah.
know. But
Well, I mean, we're always on that course.
I just think I'm not a fan of that. Just seems shitty.
It does. You're right.
I don't know what future we're going to do on this show that we're going to be like,
Yeah, that one.
absolutely. I love it.
Yeah.
So
Well, because
good.
usually they don't do like, hey, let's do this future movie where everything's cool.
Yeah. No, it's rarely cool.
Yeah. So I would not that you would want to live there, but there's got to be some takeaway,
Yeah.
which of course,
Yeah.
100% is bubble car.
Okay. So if you were to take one thing from this world,
Yeah.
you would do bubble
I
car.
would do my own flying personal conveyance bubble car.
What would I do? There's definitely a couple things I would take. I would have to learn how to ride a motorcycle. My great shame that I don't know how.
Obviously.
But of course, who wouldn't want Canada bike? Like
Yeah.
that's stupid. It's stupid to not
It's
want
because
that.
I could be
It's
floating
either
above
bubble
you.
car or
I could be
bike.
peeing on you
It's one of the.
From
Please
above-
don't piss on me from your bubble car.
from my bubble car
no
above.
way your bubble car is going as fast as the motorcycle. That is as fast as it's going. 100%. You got a good 10 to 15 miles an hour. But in the bubble car, that'll feel so fast.
So like
It'll
way
feel too fast. Yeah.
But I don't have to adhere to roads. I can just kind of
Well-
go wherever I want.
I mean,
Like there's that
I
fat guy
think
in
you'd
his
be
bubble
good.
car.
I mean, like,
again.
bicyclists still have to adhere to the rules of
because
the road.
they're bound by gravity.
Okay. Okay. So
Bubble
you're
car
going-
not bound by gravity.
We're saying you're going above the traffic.
yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. As long as your clearance height above bridges and
As
Like-
long as
don't set the autopilot and then forget and then run into a bridge or
Right.
get taken out by a semi.
the problem I can see happening moving.
There's a
bubble-
lot of problems.
Well, yes. The
Yeah.
main problem though is moving bubble car to me is I would have to set up an elaborate system of
Yeah.
conveyors and pulleys to
Why?
get me into bubble car because my bones will eventually atrophy to the
Oh,
point
okay,
of not
yes,
doing anything.
That's a good point. But that's at a point where you just don't leave bubble car.
Ooh,
Why leave bubble car?
Because it doesn't fit in the house.
Make bubble car toilet. Make house big enough.
Move into bubble car.
Make bubble car your house. Make bubble car
Ooh.
your toilet.
Make bubble car my wife.
Make bubble car marry bubble car.
Hello, bubble car.
This makes sense.
Yeah.
This all works. Bubble car,
Kim,
are you made for
Dad, please don't drive your bubble car to school. It's so embarrassing.
Please don't fuck your bubble car.
You can't tell me what to do, son.
Sit on Papa's lap.
You be cool, the bubble car. You'll never get to ride in it.
Bubblecar has feelings.
All right. Well, I think that's a show. You can find us at our various things that we have not set up yet. Well, should we insert a robot that says like our URLs?
Yeah, here's all of our URLs.
You can find links to the audio and video version of the show, as well as our Patreon, over at yestomtoday.com. That's yestomtoday.com.
But right now, of course, if you subscribe to our Patreon, you will get an extra segment for each episode. That'll just be kind of a bonus topic related to the show. For this one, we're going to just be talking about the Akira manga and anime in general.
So
you get to hear two wildly misinformed gentlemen talk about manga and anime, probably a thing a lot of you fucking nerds love.
Yeah.
So tune in, pay for that.
Well, it's very simple tier wars. One tier. I'm only gonna do one tier over there.
Yeah.
This is a limited series as of this time, so you're not gonna be on the hook indefinitely. But I think that we'll call that an episode.
Yeah.
Join us again next time, and since we don't really know when the order of these is coming out, join us again for a new movie and a new possible future.
Yes, a new possible future past.
New possible future past. Thank you for listening. I have been Joey Reinish.
I'm Comic Bay.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.